Are you trying to get the hang of macros so you can lose weight or gain muscle? Watch this video and I'll show you the simple process of calculating macros. Hi, it's Ivana. Please subscribe and hit that bell so we can see each other every week. This week's video is about macros, and if you're following a flexible dieting, if it fits your macro system, then you need to learn about macros and counting calories. I'm an online nutrition coach and I work with a lot of people, guiding them through this process, helping to adjust their macros as necessary and their calorie intake so that they can either lose weight or gain muscle. And I want you to stick around to the end of this video so that I can go through the one number that most people miss when they're calculating macros. So very quickly, let's go through what macros are, macronutrients. They are protein, carbs, and fat. And protein has 4 calories per gram, carbs have 4 calories per gram, and fat has 9 calories per gram. And as a kind of side note, alcohol has 7 calories per gram. So that's what you're working with when you want to define your macros. You want to figure out what you're going to be having in terms of protein, carbs, and fat. But even before you do that, you need to set your calories up. You just want to figure out what your maintenance calories are initially. So that's your total daily energy expenditure. That's the equation up there. So it's BMR plus NEAT plus exercise plus TEF. Your basal metabolic rate plus the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, that's movement throughout the day that's not exercise related, plus the exercise, plus the thermic effect of food. So the type of macros that you consume actually make a difference for how much your body is expending in terms of energy to consume your food. That is a very small amount. I've actually got another video where I explain that process a little bit more thoroughly. But in general, we want to find our maintenance calories, and that's where we want to start off. I'm going to link up a basic calculator that you can use. So once you've got your calories, I'm going to take you now through the process of going into MyFitnessPal and making your adjustments. So we're using MyFitnessPal here. There are other calorie counting apps, but this is the one that I'm most familiar with. It seems to be the one that's most popular. I use it with my clients, so it's easy. I often adjust their calories and macros directly myself, and that's how the process works for me. And I'm familiar with this one, so I'm going to take you through the process of how I do this for my clients and how I do it for myself as well. I just logged in here to MyFitnessPal, and you can see the menu bar across the top. We're going to go into goals. And that's where you're going to see your fitness goals. Here's your nutrition goals. So you've got calories and macros set up there. The first thing that you want to do is set up the calories, like I mentioned earlier. And you want to use that calculator that I've included in the link below. So if you haven't already done that, please do that for yourself. I'm going to use 2 examples, one for weight loss and one for muscle gain. And these are the requirements. So the weight loss example, it's going to be a 39-year-old female, 5 foot 5 inches and 150. And then you've got a muscle gain example that I'll do second, 40-year-old male, 5 foot 11, 165 pounds. So let's start off here at the calculator. So we've got our female who's 39 years old. I'm just going to switch this over. She's 5 foot 5. And we said she's 150 pounds, and we're going to assume her exercise level is moderate. So she's exercising 4 to 5 times per week. And we're going to calculate. And this TDEE calculator does everything for you. So her TDEE, the maintenance calories, will be just under 2,000 calories. And it actually does the calculation for you where it says energy intake to lose weight. So a mild weight loss of about half a pound per week, that's taking off 250 calories from the maintenance. So that would mean you're losing about that half a pound. This is the slightly quicker weight loss. So if you want to lose 1 pound a week, you would subtract 500 calories each day from your maintenance, and that gets you that. So we're going to use that 1737. Because we're going to go for a mild weight loss, and we're going to enter that here. You go back to MyFitnessPal, 1737 is the calories, and then you see that it's still at 100% here, but the protein is a little lower than we want. So we start off everything with the protein goal. And we said she's 150 pounds right now. And so we're going to need to increase this a little bit. So it only goes by 5%. So you can go up, I would go up to about there. So she's got 130 grams of protein. So slightly less than that 1 gram per day. The numbers don't work out evenly, as you see. You're missing something in between here. But now you've got 110%. So you've got to work out those 10%. You've got to subtract them somewhere. And it all depends on what you want to do. Here I would naturally kind of bring this down. And this is a perfectly good setup here. So 130 grams of carbs, 77 grams of fat, and that is their 30, 40, and 30% split. You can change this if you want to go on a very low carb diet. You can reduce this even by another 5%. And that means that you just have to increase this one by 5%. So again, you're coming up to 100%. And now we're going to do the weight gain example. So this is going to be our male, the 40-year-old male. So I'm going to go back to this again. So back to the calculator. Here's our 40-year-old male. And he is 5 foot 11 inches. And we said he's 165 pounds. And we're going to also assume, let's make him active. Daily exercise 3 to 4 times a week. And we're going to calculate that. So his TDEE would be 2605. So that's the number of calories he needs to maintain his weight, but he wants to increase weight. So he's going to put on muscle mass, and you can actually slide down here. And it said mild weight gain, so just about half a pound, 2855 calories. If you wanted to do a little bit faster, then it would be 3105. So that's an extra 250 calories per day. That's an extra 500 calories per day. So we're going to use, again, let's use the mild weight gain. So 2855 is the amount of calories that he's going to have. So we go back to MyFitnessPal. And we're going to use those numbers. So first we're going to take a look at the protein. We always go to the protein first. And we said that this gentleman, if you go back to this information, this gentleman is 165 pounds. So we started around, so 165 grams would be that 1 gram of protein. So let's drop this down a little bit. Let's see what this does. Okay, so 178, that's still even higher than he probably needs. So we're gonna drop it down 143. So that's about right. He's 165 pounds, 143 grams of protein. You see that drops it down to about 20% because his calorie intake is quite significant. Now, let's see, he needs to increase something by about 10%. So in this case, let's pop up those carbohydrates. So he gets to have 250 grams of carbs per day, and this is how the split works out. So his protein is actually a lower percentage. And you can play around with this. This is a good starting point for this particular individual. From week to week, you would be monitoring what you're taking in and trying to follow as best you can. And then you want to assess what's happening afterwards. But you can play around with this however you feel most comfortable. If you want to do a much lower carb diet, again, we keep the protein the same, we reduce the carbs, and then we would have to increase the fat level so that it equals 100% again. So there you see how the grams would work out, and this is how the percentage. The calories always remain the same. As you start to use MyFitnessPal more regularly, you're going to see that some things are in measuring quantities and some things are in weights. So it's very useful for you to have some stuff that you can measure with. Obviously, you're not going to be using that all the time, but at least when you're starting out, you want to get a rough idea before you start to eyeball. So I'm going to show you very quickly the kind of setup that I've got in my kitchen so that I can measure things up. So I've got these little measuring cups. So this is about a 1/4 cup, and this one I find really useful if I'm measuring nuts, for instance, because I don't like to have large servings of nuts. There's larger ones, of course, so if you're having carbs, this is a 1/2 cup, so that can also be useful. And of course, got a couple of those. And the largest ones here, I've got a couple of full cups. So for certain things, you'll want to have a larger servings, and for other things, you'll want to keep the serving size, it's very small. So you can either get, this one's actually 1/8 of a cup for even smaller things. For some people, this is a better serving for nuts, and that's probably something that you'll want to be using. And the other thing I'm going to show you here in my kitchen is what we sometimes use to measure. So I'm just going to pull out this scale here. So this is just a simple scale to weigh your food. You can turn it on here, just zeros itself, and I can use it, let's say, for this apple. And it's weighing in grams. It's 193 grams. You can also do this, if I take this off, I'll just show you. You can reset it, because you probably don't want to put your food on there all the time, so you're just going to put the plate on there, then zero it. Now it's at 0, and then you put your apple or whatever food you're going to be measuring, and then you get the weight of that food in total. So that's taking you through the process of MyFitnessPal and then how you need to weigh and measure. And now, the final thing that most people forget when they're doing macros, fiber. Fiber is really, really important. Men should be getting 38 grams per day. Women should be getting about 25 grams per day. It's really important that you hit those targets, and you might have to add that to MyFitnessPal. It's not actually in the default. So you want to make sure that you're tracking your fiber on top of protein, carbs, and fat. If you're not doing that, you're missing out on a really important nutrient. So fiber lowers your cholesterol levels. It improves your digestion. And the foods that have fiber tend to have a lot of micronutrients, so a lot of vitamins and minerals that are really important for your health. And we want to do our weight loss or muscle gain in a healthy way. So this is something that you really need to pay attention to. The things that have fiber, when you're thinking about fruits and vegetables, some whole grains, they have a lot of nutrients. They're good for you in general. If you don't track your fiber and you just have a low fiber diet, then it's not as healthy a diet for you. So you want to follow a nutrition plan that kind of makes sense, that is healthy. Fiber is actually thermogenic as well. So at the beginning we talked about the thermic effect of foods. So the foods that are more fibrous take a little bit more energy, so more energy by your body to consume. So they're actually burning more calories in order to consume that fiber. So if you forgot about fiber, please do admit it by commenting below. And I also want you to give me a like, please, and head over to my website, ivanachapman.com, where I'm offering a free ebook for joining up for my email list. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell to be notified, and I'll see you again next week.